What's up? Play Sports Gamer here, and I got a video on ZION Williamson. I am back from vacation. It's been like 11-12 days since I did a video, but I am back. Try and get back in the YouTube algorithm, so would you please subscribe? And I appreciate likes on this video, as I'm really desperately trying to get back in the YouTube algorithm. So let's talk about Zion. When I first saw Zion at Duke and he came out, I didn't think he would perform in the NBA. I thought he was too small to be an inside player. He didn't have a great outside shot. So I didn't think he would be performing in the NBA. But I was wrong. When he plays, he scores good. He scores in the 20s. He gets rebounds. He uses his body well to block out players. And I was wrong about him. He performs. But the thing about Zion is that teams probably should not sign him when his contract ends. New Orleans should just let him go. He's hardly ever on the court. He's always injured. I don't know what it is about him. There's some players, and the big name that comes to mind is Greg Oden, if anyone remembers him. Back then, I thought the NBA was fixed because that was the same year Kevin Durant came out. Portland had the #1 pick in the draft. Kevin Durant was the man in college basketball back then, and Portland picked Greg Oden instead of Kevin Durant. And Kevin Durant, I think, went to Seattle when the Supersonics was there before they moved to OKC. So Zion reminds me of Greg Oden because he was always injured, never played. Even in college, he was injured in the tournament. And anyone who signs Zion the next contract will rue the day, I think. But here we go. Zion's injury history is concerning, but it's not yet time to panic about the Pelican star. It's been nearly 4 years since New Orleans selected Zion Williamson's first overall in the 2019 NBA draft. In that span, Williamson missed 188 games out of a possible 302, including entirely of the 2021-2022 season. This season, an extended absence that began in January has brought Williamson's tally up to 47 absences through 76 games, and the details surrounding his return are murky at best. To me, this is insane how many games he missed. Yes, he tore up his knee and he missed that one season. It seems like he just gets injured, one injury after another. And this article explains some of these injuries. As disheartening as Williamson's absence this season has been, there's been just as much encouragement to be taken from his performance when he's in the lineup. It took just 29-game body of work for Williamson to earn the nod as an all-star starter. His averages are 26.7 rebounds, 4.6 assists per game, showed that he didn't miss a beat after missing all of the year before. New Orleans' record of 17-12 with Williamson in the lineup and peak as the West #1 seed in the mid-December serve as reminders that the franchise has all the pieces, but any puzzle will be incomplete when the most important piece is steadily missing. That is true. Like, you're not going to win if your star player can't get on the court. You're not going to be big-time successful. The Pelicans had the pieces this year to make a run in the playoffs. And I got an article after this article saying this is why Zion should not be signed by another team. I'll get to that later, but let's continue in this article. It is not time to panic about Zion yet. We've passed the point where Williamson's injury history is concerning. After a torn meniscus put the beginning of his career on hold, at least one untimely injury has limited Williamson each season of his career. In year 2, Williamson's season came to an early end due to a fractured thumb. Year 3 ended before it began due to a Jones fracture in his right foot. And this year, Williamson's going on 3 months of missed action due to a strained right hamstring. The injury-prone label is apt, but a close look at Williamson's history is a reminder that there should be some type of distinction among players that consistently battle injuries. As wrong as it feels, it's often human nature or the nature of a sports fan to attempt to compare the play of one player to another, which I just did with him and Greg Oden. Perhaps it's cautionary measure to temper expectations, prepared for the worst while hoping for the best. Who knows? And they point out to Brandon Roy's career. He was a good player for Portland, and it ended prematurely because of his injuries. Then you have the opposite with Joel Embiid, having an injury-filled career at the start of his career, then coming out and playing what this year will be an MVP year. Around this time last year, I explored why it is important to maintain a positive outlook on Williamson's injury woes. While this case is a bit harder to make over a year later, there's one major element that is working in his favor. He's 22. Returns from this season are a microcosm of Williams' career as a whole. As disheartening as the downs have been, the ups have shown the potential of an all-time great. He just needs to be on the floor to do it. I wouldn't go that far. I don't think he's an all-time great. He's just a solid player. But I really don't think he would be one to be on the court for the majority of the games. The next team that are going to sign him is going to treat him like Kawhi Leonard and play him like twice a week, 3 times a week, never back-to-back games. He's going to be sitting more, like probably half the games, in my opinion, just to keep him healthy, which is insane. He's going to be getting paid tens and millions of dollars to sit the bench, make maybe 40% of the games, maybe 50% of the games. Why would a team do that to sign them? I don't understand. Somebody else be stupid paying him all that money for him to get injured. Understandably, all we have to work with is what we've seen. But we're still at a point where Williamson can put this behind him and in a few years' time render these first few seasons a blip in a strange sequence of misfortune. Ultimately, it's unfair to compare Williamson to anyone else because we've never seen anyone quite like him before. And moving forward, the Pelicans can measure to ensure that the soon-to-be Max player is ready for the postseason. I don't know who this guy's writing in this article, but he is not like an all-time great. Maybe they're saying because he's a low post player that he's got the quickness that nobody can compare to him with the quickness and the leaping ability. But again, who cares what his potential could be as long as he needs to be on the court? Whether it's scheduled rest or maintenance, the focus is getting Williamson through an 82-game season, not seeing him play in as many as possible. The concept itself is far from foreign, and for the sake of drawing apples to oranges comparison, helped the Raptors keep Kawhi Leonard fresh for the historic title run in 2019. The Sixers are currently hoping to employ a similar strategy with Embiid. So this is what the NBA has turned out to be. Benching players to keep them fresh. And let's get to this other article about why teams should not sign him and the bogus excuse from the Pelicans ownership. Pelicans VP David Griffin, Zion Williamson not cleared for 5-5. This is when they were playing OKC in the play-in game, that their excuse why he didn't play. Nolan's executive president of basketball operations, David Griffin, said Friday that Zion Williamson, who has been out since January 2nd with a right hamstring strain, was not cleared to play 5-on-5 basketball, and that Williamson wasn't simply choosing not to play in Wednesday's win or go home game against the Oklahoma City Thunder. It was an attempt to clarify statements made by Williamson himself when he said Tuesday that he was physically feeling fine and would return to play when I feel like Zion again. This is the statement I'm blown away. Your team is trying to get into the playoffs, playing in the play-in game, and you're not going to play? I feel like Zion again? No, you get on the court and you help your team win. And the fact is, 3 months, a right hamstring strain, not pull, strain. You're out 3 months. You get on the court. You play. If management says no, you tell them, I'm playing. You're the star player on the team. You play. Those comments came the day before the Pelicans play-in tournament loss to the Thunder. Prior to that game, Williamson warmed up in the court and finished several dunks, including windmill and his workout. This is another thing. You warm up on court, dunking the ball, but yet you can't play in the game. I don't get it. I don't get these NBA players. I just don't get it. He came up the other day and said, physically, I'm fine. Physically, I'm fine means I'm not currently injured, Griffin told reporters during his team's exit interviews. He wasn't physically cleared to play basketball. He was playing one-on-none. He went up there, windmill dunk pregame. That's not the skill set that makes you capable of playing 5-on-5 basketball. So for people now to say he chose not to play basketball, that's nonsense. That's not factual, but that's a way more interesting story than he chose not to play basketball. That's the truth. I am sure in the practice gym, he was getting his cardio up to speed to play. And for Griffin to say this, this tells me they don't care if they win or lose. They could have beat OKC with him in there. They should have beat him with him in there. Even if he plays like 3 minutes a quarter, 4 minutes a quarter, that's better than not at all. Doesn't make sense. If you're a New Orleans Pelicans fan out there, you probably shouldn't even get season tickets. You should boycott this team. They clearly don't care if they advance in the playoffs. On April 6th, the Pelicans released a statement saying Williamson was going to continue his rehabilitation and conditioning regimen. The following day, the Griffin told reporters that there were still metrics in the weight room and on the court that Williamson needed to hit before being cleared to return to action. He makes the one misstatement about physically I'm fine. Had I been there, I would have clarified it immediately. The thing is, when you're going through the rehab process, the player does not report. That's not because he's not choosing not to play basketball. That's because a rehab protocol requires a player comfortable doing his movement he's doing. Miscommunication is very largely our fault. I think there is a component of this. If we don't always look for the sinister outcome, there usually isn't one. Williamson only played 29 games this season, missed the final 46 games, including the playing game, because of a hamstring injury. A strain, not a pull. Williamson played in 24 games of rookie season and 61 of 72 his second year before, missing all of his third because of a broken bone in his right foot. When asked what needed to change to make Williamson more available, Griffin pointed to a number of factors. I wish I could immediately pinpoint the answer. I think a big part is on him. I think there is a lot he could do better, and he would, I think, tell you that. I think we need to do a better job examining the whole situation top to bottom a little bit better. I think putting him in the best position to succeed is important. I think his participation is a big part of that. To wrap this all up, I feel bad for anyone who signs him and gives him the max contract. He does not deserve a max contract right now until he could prove he could be on the court for the majority of the season, if not all, and actually be there for a playoff game. The New Orleans Pelicans management obviously do not want to win. They're putting players first before the team and before the fans. And I'm sure the Pelican players, the ones on that team who want to win, are upset about this, are upset about that he did not play and help them win. If it was me on that team, I would be very mad that the season is over. It should have been extended. So tell me what you guys think. Do you think Williamson is really injured with the right hamstring injury that kept him out of the game? Or do you think you're like me, that a team should not sign him to a contract until he could prove that he'd be healthy? Please subscribe, like, and comment. I really appreciate it. Thanks. See ya.